I've been talking to so many of you, and pretty much everybody I've been talking to says, I'm so busy. Like, there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done, and I can't get enough sleep. This is all about being too busy, and being really busy is impacting my sleep. I have a couple of ideas and solutions that hopefully are going to be really helpful for everybody. Like I said, this is the most common thing so far that I have been hearing from people. They're too busy for sleep. I want to talk about a couple of things, first of all, before I just like jump into solutions. Because when we're talking about overwhelm, when we're talking about stress, when we're talking about all the different things going on in our lives, it's just important to think about like why we do what we do. And this is something I talk about with like every client I've worked with. I talk about it with teenagers, I talk about it with middle schoolers, I talk about it with adults. And this is something that really impacts a lot of people. I live in the United States of America, and it's kind of like a badge of honor here to just be like so busy. Even when I run into people, I run into people at the store, I run into people out in public, and I'm like, how are you doing? The first thing people say to me is like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. And it's interesting. It's just interesting how we are so busy and we're so okay with being so busy. But I want to talk about that. So I want to bring up a couple of words. Capacity. Capacity is the first thing I want to talk about. And this is kind of like a therapist counselor word, but I've heard it a lot in pop culture too. Capacity is like, what can I do? And thinking about that, there's 24 hours in every single day. We know 7 to 9 hours of sleep is where we should be. So if we subtract the amount of time that we would be sleeping, what do we have? 16 hours? Let's say 16 hours left in a day. You can only do so much in 16 hours. All of us can. That's part of being a human. Like, we're not superhuman. I can't split myself in half and one Melissa goes and does this, one Melissa goes and does this. Like, we can only do what we can do with the amount of time that we have. And if we prioritize things, that's the second thing I was going to talk about. So capacity and prioritization. If we decide we're going to prioritize sleep, we know we're going to have about 16 hours in a day. You may have to add in your sleep routine. Maybe you're going to do a 60-minute sleep routine. That's 15 hours. Like, what can you actually do in 15 hours? So, are you truly overscheduling yourself? Are you trying to do too much? Are you over capacity? You can do that, and a lot of people do that. It's like a lifestyle. You can do that for a certain period of time, and it probably won't impact your health too much. Like, it does. It impacts your stress level and your hormones and things like that. Like, you can do that for a while, but I don't recommend it being a lifestyle. So think about capacity when you're so busy. What can I actually do? And then priorities. So what are my priorities in a day? Really thinking about that. And when I get to solutions, I'll talk about this too. So like, if you are prioritizing sleep, you're not going to say, hey, I got 20 hours in a day because I'm only going to sleep 4 hours. If you're prioritizing sleep, you're like, 15 to 16 hours is what you got. Maybe you prioritize other things. You have families, you prioritize your families, you prioritize health, you may prioritize work, whatever it is. Think about what your priorities are. A couple other things that I like to talk about. We will not be able to dive into this. Actually, in my program, this is a huge part: meaning in life and values. So, what do I believe my life is about? Knowing what matters to you, what has meaning to you, what is within your values, that can really be helpful when you are thinking about your capacity. Because when I talk about solutions, one thing, actually, let's just jump into that right now. We'll start talking about that. One thing I do recommend people do, and I do this with clients all the time, is take a look at your schedule. So I have my little planner here. I use a paper planner. I have an electronic one too. But like, take a look at your schedule, take a look at everything that you do in a day and think, why am I doing this? Really, why am I doing this? Is it a priority? Does it give my life meaning? Is it in alignment with my values? Like, why am I actually doing this thing that I'm doing? And think about it critically. Because one thing, if you do want to get a little bit less busy, you can take things off your plate if you're able to. And you may look really critically at your schedule and see, like, I'm doing a lot of things like I really don't care about. Or maybe I'm doing this thing and I have no idea why I'm doing this thing. Or like, I think I have to do this thing, but I actually don't even give a shit about it, you know? So look at your schedule and figure out why you have the things on your schedule that you do. What can stay, what has to stay. There's going to be things that have to stay, and what could possibly go. And that could help you be a little bit less busy. Another thing, I did this actually in my business a couple of months ago, and it was really, really helpful. But look at your schedule and then identify your biggest problems. I would challenge you to take a look at your schedule try to find 10 of your biggest problems and you're going to list those. So you're going to look at your schedule, you're going to see what you do, think about it too. You might not have things like laundry and cleaning and whatever else on your schedule, but take a look at like everything you do and identify the 10 biggest problems in your schedule. So write them out. And then the next step is to find solutions to those problems. Okay, so you're gonna look at your biggest time sucks, maybe the things you hate, maybe the things that just explode your day, and you're gonna try to find solutions to those. And then once you find the solutions, like actually implementing the solutions is what I would want you to do next with those. So you don't just want to find the problems, come up with solutions, and then do nothing. You want to implement it, and you want to implement it consistently to try to better your life so that you're not feeling so overwhelmed and so stressed and too busy to prioritize something like sleep or health. Another thing I really like to do, this is actually a relapse prevention tool because I'm a licensed addiction counselor as well, and I worked in that field full time for several years, and I still do some work in that field too with my private practice clients. But taking a look at your schedule. So get your planner out. If you have a partner, you have kids or things like that, this could be a really nice activity to do together. So you're going to look at your schedule for the week. So this could be maybe something you do Sunday night. Maybe it's something you do over the weekend, but you're going to take a look at your schedule and then you're going to identify potential things that are going to like maybe be a pain in the butt. Another thing to do before you do this is to really get a good gauge of your own strengths and your own weaknesses. So know if I have a week like this, it's going to go well. I'm really, really good at these things. These are skills that I can use when things get busy. But then think about what's really hard for you too. Like maybe getting up super early is like going to kill you or it's going to feel like it is. And you know you have to get up super early to take your kid because they're going to go to a soccer tournament or something like that. So thinking ahead about your week to the things that are going to be potential issues, think about your strengths and your weaknesses and what is actually going to trip me up this week, and then do some preventative action to plan for those things. I like to give this simple example of what that could look like in your schedule. I do this with my schedule. Once I learned about it, I was like, this is freaking genius. I never thought about looking at it that way. I'm doing it consistently, and it just can help you stay organized and keep your energy good and just get through your week a lot better. Wednesdays for me are my most challenging day of the week because of my schedule, because of the things that I do on Wednesdays. And I actually have decided like, this is just how Wednesdays are going to be for me. It's my priority right now to keep my Wednesdays this way. I could look at it at another like period in my life, maybe in like 6 months, and be like, okay, I'm going to change up Wednesday because no longer do I want this to be a huge pain for me every single week. So Wednesdays, I start early at the gym. I have early clients. I have a lot of clients. My days starts early and ends late. And so what I do on those Wednesdays is I know it's going to happen. So I really try to prioritize getting a good night of sleep. You can't always get the best night of sleep. You can't predict that, but I do try to make sure. And then the night before, I'll do things like I will pack a breakfast. Usually I just make breakfast at my house, eat breakfast, and then get on with my day. But on Wednesday, I pack a breakfast. And so I prepare that, I get it ready, I pack a lunch, I have snacks, I set my outfit out. So like gym clothes get set out, outfit gets set out, because I know that day I do not have the luxury of a lot of time like I do on my other days to get everything done. And so that really helps me. So I plan for Wednesdays. I know they're going to be a pain, not every Wednesday, but some of them. And then I plan for them, and that makes it a lot better. So I encourage you to do things like that with your schedule. Look ahead at it and be like, this isn't going to go well. What can I do to make it better? Another thing too, I think, I don't even know if I talked about this. I'm going to circle back to it with capacity. You don't have to take things off your schedule. If you want to be busy, it's okay. But this is where these solutions come into play. If you're going to be busy and you hate being busy and you would like to be less busy, but you're like, I can't take any of this off my plate, then these solutions can be really, really helpful. You could also take things off your plate. That's another option too. But I just want to say you don't have to take things off if you're like, I got to get it all done. But looking ahead and trying to think like, how could I make this better? One thing people talk about all the time with me, especially women, is household duties. A lot of women still carry the brunt of household duties, even though they're working full time, they have kids, they're doing a lot of caretaking, and a lot of those household duties are falling to them. So like thinking about that, could we get the family together and split up household duties so people have a fair share and not everything is falling to one person? Is this something I could hire out? Do I have the discretionary income, or will I make room to just hire this out? Maybe somebody can come and clean my house, and then that takes it off of my plate. There's all kinds of different things when you get creative and you get into problem solving mode. Those are some things that I wanted to just give you as solutions for being busy. To summarize, this is the thing that is impacting everybody. I've been talking to you guys. This is one of your biggest issues. I work with clients. It's one of their biggest issues. There are things you can do about it if you want to. So thinking about capacity. Am I over capacity? Am I under capacity? Where am I at with capacity? And no, capacity can kind of change. It has seasons. So like in the summertime, I actually have more capacity than I do in the wintertime because there's more daylight. It feels good. So thinking about things like that. So capacity, priorities, like what are my priorities? Am I prioritizing things that I actually don't even care about? And I don't even know why I'm doing this thing. Those might be the things that you can just let go of. Thinking about meaning in your life. Why am I doing these things? What brings me meaning? What brings me happiness and joy? Values. Does this align with my values? Does it not align with my values? Like I said, in the paid program, we're going to dig deep into that. And I like to do something called values-based decision making. When you're very clear on what matters to you and what your values are, when you're faced with something that's a challenge, reflecting back to those values can be incredibly helpful in figuring out what to do moving forward. So those are good things. And then you have all the tips for your schedule. Again, everyone's busy. I know it's like a badge of honor to just like be busy all the time. And you can choose to do that. Like, that's cool. I am pretty busy myself. So I'm always like, yeah, I'm busy too. But you can also do it differently. And there's a lot of things you can do, even if you take nothing off your plate, to hopefully make it a little bit more manageable so that you can prioritize things like your sleep, which we know sleep is really important. There's no research out there that says you can get by on having poor sleep because it is so important. It is so good for your health. It makes everything better. There's not even anything else I can think of in life other than sleep that truly just like makes everything better. Health-wise, mood, hormones, like all the things. Anyway, I hope you guys thought this was helpful. Let me know if you try any of these